Hi, and welcome to a brand new season of Beyond Service. To kick off season 2, we have Mickey Thomas from Arrow, the SVP of Customer Care and Inside Sales. And we also have Nick Campanile, the Manager of Onboarding here at WorkWave, to talk about the strategic art of creating lifelong customers. Understanding your customer's lifetime value is essential to the bottom line of your business. By focusing on creating lifelong customers over the short term, businesses achieve exponential growth. So let's introduce Mickey and Nick.
Thank you, Rick.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing great. Hi,
Great.
Rick. Hi, Mickey.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Doing great.
So this is my first time hosting. So it's actually fitting that Arrow is here with me because my first week at WorkWave, Arrow was the first customer that I met. You guys actually came into the office and I met you guys. So it's kind of fitting that you guys are the first guest for us. And then Nick is here just in case I'm a disaster, right? If I'm a complete disaster, Nick gets to invoke the 25th Amendment and take over. So
Okay. Who's
No
going to
pressure, Rick.
be then?
all right. So first off, let's start with a really hard-hitting question. How was your holidays?
It was great. My holidays, it was a little bit different, of course, but it was still really good. You make the best of it, and you carry on. And it was a little bit smaller of a setting, but we had a great time.
Yeah, good. How about you, Nick?
Yeah, likewise. Sounds like it was the same kind of holiday that I as Mickey, and it was pretty small and uneventful, which I think is a nice change of pace, right? You think of like the holiday times, you're entertaining people, you're meeting with a lot of people, which could like lead to stress. So I don't know. I thought it was a pretty neat little change of pace.
Oh, good. Yeah. No, I kind of felt the same way too. It was, smaller, more intimate. So, but speaking of the holiday, when I got into the office this morning, there was something on my desk. It was an envelope and it was from Arrow. It was actually the Christmas card that you guys sent out to me. So I actually I've noticed over the years that Arrow's really good at following up and kind of doing that stuff where you're sending out things and reminders, whether it's a vendor. I assume you guys do the same thing with customers. So it's good that we're talking about customer loyalty today. So I did prepare one picture just to like lighten the mood for us, and our producer's going to put it up. Producer Amanda, can you put it up on the screen for us? So this is my daughter Sarah. This is a bag that we've got for the holidays. Somebody sent it to us. It was very nice of them, and I thought it was really cute that she could fit inside the bag. So I figured I'd start out with on a light note. So now that I've completely gone off script to open the thing, let's get into it. All right. Sound good? All right. So the first question that I have, Arrow was founded in 1964. It's family owned. You guys are in 12 states. You guys obviously resonate with customers. Can you talk a little bit, Mickey, about what you guys do with customers?
Rick, it's pretty simple. The biggest thing is customer service and how we approach in providing that top-notch service. To us, every customer matters at all times, and everyone at Arrow understands the importance of listening to our customers. For sure, that relationship starts from the first call in, when they first want our service. You put that impression. That's a lasting impression right there, and that's very important, as well as setting that expectation for the customer. We follow through with customer expectations. And we also track customer engagement. We use survey feedbacks to really engage with how our customer service is doing, and providing that feedback and training off of it as well.
Yeah, awesome. We at WorkWave, we do some similar stuff. We have customers, obviously, and we engage with our customers. It's really important to know customers. So let's get into some more questions, dive into this a little bit more. So how can businesses become more interactional with customers? And I'll toss it over to both Mickey and Nick.
Yeah, I could speak to that first, Mickey. And I think it's a great question, right? Because being customer centric or being customer focused means you are putting your customer and their experiences first, right? So it's like every decision you make, every initiative you roll out, you're doing it through the lens of your customer. Um, and then, the other layers of the business can sometimes become secondary. And it doesn't mean that they're any less important, but the idea is that the decisions you make at the business level wouldn't necessarily be driven by the bottom line or the revenue. They'd be driven more by the customer. So when I think of being first, I guess I'll take a step back. When I think of operating at a transactional level, a business is just like going through the motions to get something done. And whether it means you're leading a customer to purchasing something or you're generating their interest in a product or a service, like, there's importance to all that, but it should really mean something more. So to me, then being interactional with your customer means you're actually building meaningful and purposeful relationships with them. It's about understanding how your customer is feeling along the way as you're interacting with them, right? And it's getting closer to their sentiment and their behaviors. And, I think it kind of goes way beyond the notion of like the customer is always right? So it's, that's my initial thought on it. I think unless you're like 100% a self-service business, there's going to be two or more people connecting with each other at the most like basic and fundamental level. And it's like at least one person at the business and at least one customer. So it's all about making those genuine connections with your customers through listening and leading with empathy and understanding your customers' needs. And then being mindful of how you're positioning all of that back to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mickey?
Well said, Nick. I couldn't agree with you more on that. The biggest key to customer service is listening to their needs for sure and understanding what they're asking. And definitely when you're in the customer service industry, if you're lacking that piece of it, that's really hard, to set that expectation for the customer. So definitely well said on that, because that is key factors when it comes to customer service, is listening to their needs.
Yeah. So what we should really explore here, we talk about customer service, talk about interacting with customers, right? So for businesses out there who maybe they haven't been putting that as their first and foremost thought and, how they're approaching their businesses, what steps do you think it would take, you would suggest that a customer would use to evaluate, what they're doing and how they can maybe improve and maybe, be a little bit more customer centric? I know at our user conference this year, Nick's team put together a really cool series on the customer journey. And I really love that series. It was a whole series during our user conference. I thought it was really great. So I love Nick to talk a little bit about customer journey in his reply to this answer. And then, we can go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. That was so much fun. That was that was something where we had with a couple of my peers at WorkWave, we had to really kind of take a step back and think outside the box in terms of how do we approach the audience at our user conference to do something much more different, where of course, at our user conferences, we want to be informational, and we want to do that information sharing, want to educate our customers, but how do we help our customers be more strategic? So we thought really compiling that series around customer journey mapping was something that would be super valuable to WorkWave customers, but it's far more valuable to people, even outside of the WorkWave ecosystem, right? So what I would say is, if you haven't taken these steps as a business yet, I definitely recommend building customer journey maps to really get to the root of your customer's experience from start to finish. And for those of you, because it's kind of like a radical idea and it's like a radical exercise, for those of you out there who've never really stepped into this realm, a customer journey is basically it's like a representation of what a customer, a future customer or an existing customer, goes through to achieve a goal within your company. And it's not easy. It's like a really challenging thing to do, because you have to challenge the status quo and open up your way of thinking in terms of, how you conduct your business, and again, create more interactional experiences with your customers. So if I was a startup business, or if I was a business decision maker that might be reevaluating how we're doing things, I think jumping into the exercise of building out a customer journey map is probably one of the initial first starts there.
Yeah, actually, I was so inspired by that session at user conference. I took it back to my team, and my team, I'm VP of product. We interact and we deal with a lot of the software here at WorkWave, but we still have customers, and there's still a customer journey. And I said, hey, everybody on the team, you should really get a hold of this. You should really take a look at these series, watch it, and I think we're probably going to do a little bit of exercise just on the customer journey for WorkWave customers, just to explore it. And like you said, it's not exactly radical, but it is I think something that as you go through step by step, there's things that you'll pull out of it and say, you know what, why is it this way, and maybe we should change this. And this is actually kind of not the best thing for our customers, so maybe we should make an adjustment here or there. So
Absolutely.
So let's get into talking about the business aspect of lifelong customers. So let's Mickey, let's go to you. Let's ask you, what is a lifelong customer? Can you just explain to the audience what a lifelong customer is and what lifetime value of a customer is? And I actually had our crack team pull up some stats. So if you need some stats to back you up, I got some stats. All right.
Let's try this and see
All right,
how I
let's do it.
Definitely, if you're in the customer service industry, the most valuable piece of your business, and should always be your goal, is definitely providing your most excellent customer service. In our business, we're protecting our customers' home, and we aim to do that on a consistent basis. Without building those first relationships and those first impressions, and providing top-notch customer service to the long-term customers, your customer service is not going to grow, nor will your business, without your existing customers as well. So, you want to focus on not just your new customers, but you want to focus on that back end with your current customers. Word of mouth is key to everything when it's in customer service. So you always want to provide that top-notch service, and that way, referrals are going to come. Your word of mouth out there about your service, that's going to come. Sales are going to always be there. The service is going to sell itself, but your reputation is everything. And that is huge, especially when you're in the customer service industry. And you want to make sure that you're building those relationships, and the lifelong customers are going to come after that.
Yeah.
And just to kind of throw a little something in there, we service generations of customers and their families, and so that's important, because that, again, those are providing new customers for us.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've never even thought about that, but yeah, I know my family, they're not in your service area. I'm from New England. We're a little bit more further north than you guys. But my family, they all use the same service too. So I think referrals and within a family, within friends, is definitely important. I got some additional stats that I think are really important and good to share with the audience as well. So just looking at, the business value of a lifelong customer. So a couple things. Acquiring a new customer takes about 5 times the effort than to sell to an existing customer, right? So you have happy customers, you have lifelong customers. Being able to sell to them obviously is a lot easier. The success rate is 60 to 70% on an existing customer versus a new customer, which your success rate drops to 5 to 20%, right? Those are some pretty big statistics for our audience to think about, right? So if you have this lifelong customer, you're really able to tap into and, get some, business value out of them, in addition to you're providing your services, you're potentially got the referrals and the whole family getting involved. So just some things to think about. So moving on, just to keep in the same theme of business, let's talk about the business aspects of this, right? So when we talk about customers, there's a lot of things that go into acquiring customers and keeping customers. So your resources, they go into marketing dollars, they go into leads, and customer retention. So, and right now I'm going to pause. Our producer's going to throw something up on the screen for us. So I was at an Atlanta Hawks game. This was before COVID. and I'm enjoying the game. I'm in Atlanta, and I look up, and the whole thing is plastered with Arrow Exterminators.
Absolutely.
Now,
That's the
I still get at some of these things, you know, where I see a customer. Sometimes I'm driving to work, and I won't name the customers, but I'll see the trucks driving down the highway, and I look at it and I smile. I'm like, that's great. I love seeing this type of stuff. But just thinking about now we're in the times of COVID, money that you may have been spending in certain areas and advertising and things like that. How are you now taking a different approach? How are you maybe now rethinking some of that, Mickey? You know, what are you guys doing? Maybe you're making some adjustments. Maybe you're doing a little bit more on the customer retention side. Walk us through that, please.
You know, definitely we haven't slowed down at all. You know, COVID may be very present and we may have to change up a little things, but through and through, we really have not changed a whole lot of where our marketing goes. But definitely, I will tell you this, we have invested a lot this year. We have upgraded our, you know this as well, but our customer service portal, offering different ways a customer can pay. So we put in a lot of investment into that. We also put a lot of investment into our referral program. So we talked about that customer retention, but any existing customer that refers a friend or family and they purchase the service, we give them $25 Visa gift card. So we put a lot of money into that as well. Just kind of shifting our thought and seeing where we could be better. That's always our approach, is we're always trying to be one step ahead of it, is how can we be better? But we're definitely not going to slow down for sure. We're going to keep going full speed ahead.
Good. So the next question I have is just, in your opinion, what do you think in terms of like home service businesses, right? So we're definitely in this space. We're in field service, home services. Do you tend to think that home services have to work more at it, work more at retention, work more at, you know, being able to keep customers on board versus, you know, outside this particular vertical?
Well, you definitely have to put that focus on customer service. It all starts on our front lines for sure, making sure that they are, providing the best customer service possible. You know, you got to look at your business on both sides. You got to look at it from a customer standpoint, and then you also got to look at it from your employee standpoint as well. Is the flow process where it needs to be? How are we scheduling services? How are we entering service? You got to understand those and to see the expectation for sure. But, putting that focus on the front line, those are the line of people. That's what drives your business. They're your representation of who you are. So we have a vision that we definitely hire, train, and retain rock stars. And Rick, I'll tell you, you know this about us. We're extremely passionate and we believe in that vision. And that leads us through to great customer service.
Yeah, I know you guys are very passionate. I know that you guys are, I don't know. I feel like pest control industry in general, it's just a different vibe than some of the other industries. You know, there's just this open and friendliness. There's this focus on customer service. And that's part of what I really enjoy about working here at WorkWave is I actually get to work with customers being Arrow and other pest control companies out there who have this focus and they have this mindset. It's just refreshing versus maybe some of the other verticals that I've run into. So
I can't stress enough the importance of relationships, whether you're a partner with Arrow like you guys are, or whether you're a customer or an internal customer. Those relationships that are the glue for everything, and communication is the glue for everything as well. So that's very important to us.
Yeah.
And it's been a huge part of our success, especially the last couple of years, is having those strong relationships.
Yeah. So keeping on this business theme, another last question here, on the business aspect of it. We know that Arrow is involved and they're active in M&A, right? You guys go and you evaluate companies, you go and you're, acquiring companies, from time to time. Is customer loyalty a factor when you're going and you're looking at another business? Are you actually looking at how long they've had their customers? Are you looking at different, metrics maybe that are, feeding into this whole process for M&A? Is this a factor for you guys?
Absolutely. We look for family-owned companies that have a culture and business strategy that aligns with us. That's very important to us. We also look at, the longer the lifespan, the greater the value is going to be on the customer. But what's very important to us is aligning those cultures and business strategies when we're merging families together.
Yeah, good. So we talked already about, you've mentioned employees. Let's get into employees. So employees are the front line. Employees are the front line that are interacting with customers. They're on the phones. They're actually text messaging back and forth, sending emails. They're very important in this whole, process of customer loyalty and customer engagement. So let's talk a little bit about customers and what we're looking for in customers. What we're looking for in employees. I personally, when I look for employees, I'm not necessarily looking for, I want people who communicate well. And I want people who have a little bit of a, technical side because I'm on the software side, and I want people who are, engaging, but I also want people who are, self-starters. That's probably a little bit different than what you guys are looking for. And actually, I think our last picture that I have is a picture of my employees with Mickey. We did this thing earlier in the year. My producers actually wanted me to show this video, but I told them that we're not going to actually show the video. But we did.
This is guessing. Don't do it.
We tried to do one of those sing-alongs like you see on Jimmy Fallon. And we had a couple customers and my team involved in it. It was very fun. So, engaging part of employees and, people who are, able to talk and, do things that are maybe outside their comfort zone, So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about what you guys look for, Mickey, and then we're going to talk to Nick and see what he's looking for because he's also on the customer engagement side. So why don't you kick us off, Mickey?
Okay, we don't look at this as a job. This is a fun place to come, but it's career oriented. We definitely look for very passionate and goal driven people because we're investing in you as a lifelong employee as well. Just as we are on the customer service side, we want our retention on our employees as well. So we're looking for motivation and willingness to learn. In our vision, again, I've said this before, but we hire, train, and retain rock stars, and that's very important to us. So the biggest thing that I would say is goal-driven and making sure that those visions align, and it's a good match for us. You're joining our family, and that's how we look at it.
Now, Mickey, do you guys have a rock star certification process that you like? How do you know that they're rock stars?
So glad you asked. Yes, we do have a rock star certification, but it's after we hire and we bring them on board. We are not always perfectionists at it for sure, just like any other company, but we do the best we can and we offer great benefits with our company and joining our team. You're going to see that motivation and you're going to see internal growth as well. We promote within. That's very important for me as well. When I was looking for a job, is to be able to see where my future is going and have goals and set those goals and meet those goals. So we're definitely goal-driven people. You're in the right place, and if you have passion, that's going to get you on board.
Mm-hmm. Now, Nick, let's talk to you. Let's see, what do you look for when you're hiring employees within your group?
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely a lot of similarities to what Mickey called out before, right? Of course, you're going to be looking for career-oriented folks who are passionate, who are dedicated about their continued growth and things like that. But I think when I really think about that question, I actually look for employees with with like high emotional intelligence, because like this always almost always means that the employee has like the soft skills and like the interpersonal skills to be successful in any service-based business or any kind of customer-focused business. So, to me, it's an employee that can show empathy and they have self-awareness, and they could read other people's emotions, whether it's internally, like a peer or a manager, or with a customer. And they're always motivated to do the right thing. Like those are really important things. So ultimately, if I were to kind of like summarize that up, it's like people who just have people skills, right? And I don't mean to like oversimplify that, but if you have people skills, then that organization or that manager or that mentor of yours can teach you the proprietary stuff about that business. Like, this is how we operate. These are the logistics. This is the process you follow. This is the workflow you have to get used to. Those are things that you can coach a person on. But if they don't have people skills, that's like a whole other thing. There's an underlying factor there, right? Like, I always think in my head, like I can teach an employee how to use Microsoft Excel. That's a hard skill, but I can't teach them or really change their behavior in leading a conversation with empathy if there's a frustrated customer on the line with them. So that's definitely one big piece that I think of. I also, and when I look back at 2020 and how quickly things changed with COVID, I also look for employees with adaptability and flexibility, right? That's so important. I mean, things just happen so quickly today. And so if you have an adaptable team, you really can get over a lot and overcome a lot of these roadblocks and challenges, such as when you look at WorkWave, when COVID hit, we had to switch to work from home environment and do it rather quickly. And that was tough. Like, that was a hard thing to get people to rally them and to be just as productive and effective as we once were in an office environment. But if you have that team that's naturally adaptable, then it really actually wasn't any trouble at all. And it was just like such a seamless switch. So it's being adaptable in the moment, but then also being forward thinking to overcome any potential challenges that come up.
Yeah, absolutely. Even with my team, I look at adaptability. I look for flexibility, what skill sets they have, how they can potentially, when I'm hiring and bringing somebody on, can they do this? Maybe shifting the role a little bit just based on the skill set of who you find. Now, what do you do, Nick, to keep your employees engaged, to keep them, up to speed on, maybe the latest, how do you keep them going?
Yeah, and that's such a great question, right? Because I think there's a lot of different ways to find continued support in your employees, right? Obviously, I think for me, it all starts with a really great onboarding program to get a new hire into my team, with really clear structure and really clear direction. That could be through like a 90-day program, right? So they know exactly what they're doing, they know their goals, and they know how to measure those goals. So I think that's a really good framework to start with. But that's not always the case, right? You could be, a manager or a supervisor of sorts, and you can inherit employees. So you don't get the luxury of hiring them in for the first time. So then you have to get creative and you have to be really smart about how you show that continued support to them. So I think, number one, it's all about, for me, being transparent with your teams, right? And being transparent with your employees. I think when you do that, you build trust with them and you build just better communication channels. And then you'll see your employees and the relationships you have with them, they're just more dynamic, and you're not afraid to own up to a mistake or anything like that. So it just creates a better organic relationship between you and your employees. That's just part of it, right? But then you also have to think about making sure the right information is communicated down to them as well, right? What is the cadence of communicating important information? Again, tying it back to how quickly things can change. And I mean, I can't believe we're in 2021 already, but like we're such in a progressive kind of environment, especially with technology. So much of it is driven by technology. So then it's all about how do you keep them up to date and up to speed on the latest technology. So it's all about just reinvesting in your employees, right? If you identify maybe they're struggling in a certain area or they need a refresher training on a specific tool they use each day, it's all about just pairing up with them, connecting with them, listening to them, and saying, all right, let's come up with a game plan so we can make sure you feel more confident in using this tool or maybe strengthening this soft skill. So it's just a continued listening, checking for feedback, checking for understanding on their end, and then just always reinvesting in them. I think that's such an important piece of it.
Absolutely.
Well, Nick, I think you're doing a really good job because I see the comments through Facebook and they're all glowing about you and the way that you. There's some people on your team who are just like praising you right now on Facebook. So I think you're living up to what you've been discussing, which is really awesome.
Well,
See, and now
that's
I just fired them up. They're just now doing even more comments.
Well, I have to say, I mean, of course, I always try to do my due diligence in doing what I just said, but it's on the employee. Like I can always empower an employee or empower a team to do the right thing, but it's really them, right? Like they're the performers at the end of the day. They're the ones who are interacting with their customers, and so I'll just take a quick second to shout them out because I really couldn't ask for a better group of employees to work with each
Do you
day.
want to name them all right now? Just kidding. All right, I'm scrolling through to see if there's any questions here from the audience. My eyes aren't so good, so I'm going to actually squint there. Empathy is key. Yes, absolutely. Steph says that. Looking for people who have people skills. Yes, we echo that. Let's see. Try to find some of these questions in here. What's that?
Amy and Mike have some questions.
Oh, they do? I'm looking for them.
Scroll it up.
I have to keep going up.
Yeah.
See, there's so much praise for Nick. I have to scroll up like 3 pages to find the questions.
Okay, Nick, now I'm going to have to compete with you.
I swear this wasn't. I didn't set it up.
Wait
this way.
a
This is
minute.
just-
Here's one for Mickey. It says Mickey is the star of the show. How am I supposed to feel now after that?
Yeah.
Oh wait, there's one for me. You rock, Rick. There you go.
There you go.
David Giannetto, our CEO. It's great to have Arrow with us. I don't see the questions in here.
Here, I'll here.
You want to read? You want to give me
I'll
one?
read them off. Here, let me. I'll have the mouse over here. Let's see. I know that Amy had one. Ah, you're taking the mouse away from me.
Oh, sorry. Technical difficulties. There's 2 people controlling one mouse.
I'm almost there. And okay, so Amy said, Mickey, how have your customer service goals changed from 2020 to 2021?
It really hasn't changed a whole lot when it comes to customer service because we never sway from what our expectations are. We definitely put that as the number one focus always. I will tell you, customers from our standpoint, because we're dealing, with actual, going into people's home and people's home, that's their sacred place and they're home right now in many cases. So definitely we're talking more with customers. We're communicating more with customers. Customers are communicating more with us as well. So it's always important to put that in perspective and always give the tools to be successful, just like what Nick was talking about. You cannot be successful unless you're giving them the tools to be there. And that's really important. At Arrow, we take very great strides with our training. It never stops. We're always training. We're always communicating with our teams. And when you put that vision and mission in there and align it with customer service, everything else falls into place as well. So,
All right, so we have another question for you. What has COVID opened your eyes to in regards to customer service and retention?
it's important. It's definitely important, and it should be your number one priority, especially now. And customers are home. They're seeing problems. They're seeing those little critters that are coming in their house, and there's, you got to communicate, and you got to have an open line of communication, and you got to be susceptible to that communication and feedback as well. Listen to your customers. It's more important now than ever. And it's more important now than ever to communicate with them. Where we're seeing a little bit of a shift is customers are spending more time on the phone than they ever have as well. And we've noticed that shift. We've noticed that calls are a little bit longer when you're talking with customers because they're enjoying that human interaction as well. And that's important, and that's key for relationships.
We have another question in here. We'll just hit this one last one before we go into our last question. And this is similar to what we asked Nick already about how do you keep your employees motivated, right? Through stress, through all the things that may be happening. You know, how do you keep your employees motivated through this all? Nick, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, we're all human and we're all really vulnerable. To me, it's sometimes you have to take the time to put business aside sometimes and just make genuine connections with your team members, right? Making sure they understand that you are there or that they have at least a support system that they can go to. And if it's not you directly as a manager or supervisor or upper management, then who is it, right? And how do you encourage your team members to lean on each other, right? There's so much internal and institutional knowledge at every organization, right? And you'll have employees that are a little bit younger and on the greener side, and you have these senior tenured employees as well. How do you like merge them together, and what does like the knowledge share look like between those people? And I think that just organically creates drive and motivation. That's part of it. I think it's also making sure there's a good like mentorship program between your employees, right? Most employees or a successful employee or professional, they want to grow. People always want to do better, right? So I think if you're able to pair them with a specific mentor or a mentor team, I really tie that back to just like them wanting to professionally grow. And then based off that, they can set very clear goals with each other too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I know that within my team, I feel like, we're all remote, we're all online, we're in a lot of more, meetings as a group. And I feel like people start to get to know each other a little bit better. It's kind of interesting in the office, maybe you're segmented and one's doing this and one's doing that. But, putting in regular meetings, regular check-ins, kind of team all comes together and just has to really communicate better to let everybody know what each other is working on. I really feel like that's actually brought the team together so they actually know each other more. I don't know, Mickey, do you find something similar within Arrow?
I couldn't agree more. It was a big shift for us. We're used to, all of our 136 service centers, they're family, each service center. So when we went to remote basically training or customer service, our service professionals and our outside sales teams and stuff, they no longer come into the office, but our admin do. And our administrative is used to seeing those SPs every day and interacting with them every day. And now for them not to come in, they're more creative and closer than ever. They put little notes on the windows, saying, great job today. So when the service professionals come in to drop their paperwork or something off, there's a little note for them. Or we do drive-through little snacks, and we have contests throughout. We have spirit days and stuff like that. But our administrative team is doing, a lot of special things, lunch in a bag for our service professionals. So we have really seen teams really come together and really unite the relationships.
I know personally, I have, I think, 16 people on my team. I can't imagine 130 service centers. And
yeah,
and bringing that all together, that is amazing. That actually is a pretty good segue into the last question. The last question is about technology. So we talk about technology, we talk about customers, engaging customers. How is technology a factor here? How are we engaging technology, using technology for us to be able to interact with? We can talk about employees a little bit more if we want, but really this is about customer loyalty. So How are you using the technology to engage your customers and to build that loyalty with your customers?
Absolutely. Well, you know as well as anybody that we've done some huge improvements with our customer service, part of it this year. Something as simple as providing options to pay for an invoice in different ways, or request service, or even schedule online. That can make a world of difference for a customer. And then customers today, they want that convenience of being able to do stuff online as well, and providing those avenues. And we've invested a lot this year on our technology side, from upgrading our Pest Pack, and also as well as our portal. And then our how we process payments has been huge, because that opens different avenues for customers to be able to pay and schedule and stuff like that. Technology is very, very important part of your business, but you never want to lose sight of that personal touch as well. So you always have to look for those technology advancements, and it's keeping it simple for the customer and still having that personal touch.
Yeah, that's a really good area to explore. Nick, how are you working with technology but keeping that personal touch within your group?
Yeah, I think it's another great question. I think when it comes down to picking the right technology, it's all about picking the right communication platforms and channels. I think that's so key. To me, a great employee experience translates to a great customer experience. I think that's where it starts for most businesses. Maybe not every, but I think for the majority. So when you take a hard look at the current state of things with COVID and how much businesses rely on technology today, how many businesses are fully working remote or partially working remote, and what the potential that this could be the new norm for a while, right? So really making sure your teams and your employees are accessible to communicate with each other on project planning, on customer progress, on note taking, achieving goals together. All those things are really key. And again, I think that just by virtue, those things will trickle down to a great customer experience, because when you're aligned with each other internally, then you're aligned with the customer externally. So I think that's big. Another thing I think through in terms of leveraging technology to make better connections with customers and replicating what we used to do in the past is I just think of something as simple as virtual meetings, what we're doing right now, right? We're leveraging webcams and conference calls. So, I look back at my team where historically we would typically send folks out to locations of customers to train them up on our product, right? We're doing on-site visits with them. But now we're able to actually replicate that and do it more efficiently, and making it more cost effective for all parties, again, using a platform like this. So we can enable our webcams. I could see, I could look at Nikki right now if I'm in the middle of a training call with a customer, and she can see me. And that's where I think the body language comes into play, right? Often body language is sometimes misunderstood over the phone or over an email, right? But I could still be face to face with you, and we could still achieve the same goal through this kind of technology. So I think the body language part of it is really key as well.
That's a great point, Nick, because I will tell you something that, this is new to us, video, online video and stuff like that. We had to change our focus on how we train, because our training never stops. And so we had to invest in video cams for our offices. And coming from the training side, that was important to me, because I want to be able to see those expressions when I'm training somebody. And I want to be able to talk face to face if somebody's just struggling a little bit and needs some help with a certain area. It is a different way to communicate, but we're doing it more and more. I've probably seen more people in the last 8 months on video than I have actually in person. So it has built those relationships, and it's also gave us the ability to build confidence with our team members as well with their training, because at any given time we can jump on a video conference and well, let me see what you're doing, or let me hear how you're talking to the customer, and I can help you through it. But having those, it's a whole different way, and it's actually kind of exciting on how for training purposes. But it's fun because I can just jump in on a call at any given time and surprise somebody and just say, "Hey, how's it going?" But that was huge for us, because we went from really we're a in-person type training and being in person for sales meetings and stuff like that. So to go virtual, it was different, but we adapted very well. And it's kind of neat to just be able to jump on a call at any given time and help one of our team members.
Yeah, I totally agree, Mickey. And something else that you just reminded me of too, and again, this goes back to whether it's internal training with your folks or it's, external support or external training with customers. I also think of like the factor around being able to like record this information, right? When I tie it back to, the old school way of being face to face with customers, someone's going to be a note taker. You guys are going to be facilitating some kind of training, but now with this kind of technology, I can record the conversations, I can record the video, I can record the audio, I can build out a library of on-demand resources, right? So like, again, it's like such a simple concept, but I really do think something like that pays dividends in the long run.
Absolutely.
Well, great. Thank you both for joining. It's been a great, fun time. I was hoping it would be fun. It was fun. So I really appreciate, Mickey, you joining, and Nick too. I really think Nick and Rick would make a pretty good co show, right? It just sounds like a morning radio show. So
Sign me up.
Before we wrap, though, I want to tell people who are watching, so join us for the next episode. It's actually going to be February 2nd. We're going to deep dive into mergers and acquisitions with Tom Gibbons, the president and owner of F&W Pest Control. And as always, have a good day. Be good. I'll see you guys next time, all right?
Thank you, Rick.